Call us on 03030 80 55 55, text 81771 or email the programme talk.back@bbc.co.uk.
Afternoon, welcome back to the programme. Richard O'Reilly here in for William till 1:30. We were talking political demographics actually earlier. I forgot to do the podcast plug. Shame on me. So the first episodes of Borderland UK or United Ireland, they're up on BBC Sounds or anywhere else you get your podcasts. And that third episode, I believe, drops at midnight tonight. But now we're obviously talking about. Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of cyber attacks recently over the past few months. Marks and Spencer's had a big one. Jaguar Land Rover actually had to furlough some staff off the back of a large-scale cyber attack. The advice now coming from the government to chief executive officers on how to maybe cope with this sort of thing and how to find a way to navigate your way through it and make sure it's not a total disaster for you is to go back to the old school. Start writing stuff down, keep it on a piece of paper hidden away in case of emergencies. Basically saying, look, you should maybe keep physical copies of your plans. I suppose you could print them as well, but it maybe makes more fun to think of somebody with a fountain pen or a quill trying to put all this down, just in case your computer system comes down. Is this an over-the-top step, or is this maybe just simple forward planning in a digital age where there's new vulnerabilities out there? We have Professor in Cybersecurity at Ulster University, Kevin Curran. Management consultant Lindsay Conway is here, as is Fevzi Turkalp, editor of GadgetDetective.com and host of the Gadget Detective podcast. Very welcome all. Kevin, first of all, I mean, when we talk about a cyber attack, we've seen some pretty high-profile ones recently. I think M&S is actually still trying to kind of get to grips. You couldn't order a thing online. Northern Ireland was even further back, getting back on the shelves, ended up a little bit empty. Jaguar Land Rover, as I was saying, having to effectively halt their work and furlough their staff. Are we seeing more of these types of cyber attacks, Kevin, or is it just that these are big companies that are being targeted?
We are seeing an increase in attacks. Again, we're just seeing, like, for instance, different stats, whatever else, but if you give the number of nationally significant incidents again, that we've doubled really within the year. And of course, what we're talking about here is a continuation plan, contingency plans, disaster recovery plans again. And that has been best practice for many years, because when systems go down, whether it's through a power cut or a hardware failure or a cyber attack, it's no use having your plans on a computer you can't access. So just have them printed, have them documented, have them up to date, of course. And at least you will have contact numbers. You will have contact numbers for the outside experts again, for different system operation centers again, for your head of IT, for the people on your staff, and even plans on what to do next maybe, and other backups and passwords and whatever is needed to get obviously, if it's an attack, to get a shutdown, and also to recover the systems as well. So basically, in other words, just have a written plan for whenever disaster strikes.
Fevzi, there's an important point here as well in terms of what we actually mean by writing down your plans. The advice from the government, it's not, look, can you write down everything? So whenever you say sign up to whatever company's mailing list, no one's writing your information down to keep it in a little file somewhere. This is if you have a plan in place to sort of cope with that, with any potential cyber attack. Then you've got one. So it's a
printed playbook. Yeah, absolutely. It's a printed playbook. But in addition to that, there's also been encouragement for companies to plan how they could perform basic functions whilst their computer systems are down. So not just the playbook, but also, so if it's a GP surgery and, the NHS has been hacked, it may be patient information forms that can be filled out, taken in with the patient to see the GP. So the appointments can still go ahead, but they wouldn't, for example, have access to the medical records, but they could examine them and send them to an A&E department if needed. So there are still basic functions that organisations can do without their computer systems if they plan for it. They've also been advised to do the equivalent of war games, like a red team and a blue team, and one team plays a hacker and the other one tries to defend against it. And just as militaries do that,
sounds like fun.
Unfortunately. Well, it sounds expensive, but not as expensive. Not as expensive as an existential threat to a business, for example.
And that some people might think, Fevzi, whenever you're trying to put in your game plan for getting back online, if there's a serious cyber attack, why are you ever keeping it on the same system anyway? Of course, it's going to go missing.
Yeah, it's
It's all eggs in one basket, isn't it?
yeah. Well, it's it's human nature. We don't always predict everything, and businesses are trying to make a profit. They're trying to do things essentially as cheaply as possible, and this cybersecurity is just one of many things that they have to worry about. Unfortunately, the number of serious attacks, as has been said, has more than doubled in the first 9 months of this year, and we've seen that they're going after big game now. A lot of hacking groups based in Russia, China, are actually using AI systems to target larger companies much more effectively. They use them to hone their spear phishing attacks. They use them to actually process the data that they steal. Essentially, they're using AI to be much more efficient hackers, and we could learn a lot from them.
And Kevin, this is some of this is ransomware, isn't it? Where it's like, look, I'm going to cripple your systems here, and if you don't give me X amount of cash, I'll not give it back.
Yes, in some ways, that's where it would really come into play, because you're locked out of your systems, and then you wouldn't have your emergency contact list and who declares the incidents and just coordinate it as such. So you've got to prepare for the worst case scenario where you're locked out of your systems, and again, trying your best. Of course, there's so many incidents where you cannot serve quite often in modern organizations. Again, you cannot just IT has become so mission critical that we're seeing businesses that would probably, that have been around for hundreds of years, again, like Marks and Spencer, may go out of business because of the effect, the hundreds of millions that attack cost them, the way the customers have moved on to other sites as well, and they may never get a core of their customers back again. So again, it comes down to a budget as well. So we can sit here all day and you can have, in the ideal world, you have a completely redundant system. You have a mirror backup of a system. If one goes down, the other can be brought up within seconds and whatever else. But that all costs money. Every organization only has a finite amount of budget. And of course, and many organizations are government-based and paid for by the taxpayer. But there are best practices again. And of course, this is just one of them again, just being able to have disaster recovery plans in place, continuation, and it's actually mandated by a lot of the legal compliance frameworks that we have to adhere to. Even GDPR is mandated that you have a written incident response plan.
Lindsay Conway, you're a management consultant. You'll be certainly familiar with GDPR and the responsibilities that companies of all sizes now actually have when it comes to storing personal data. In terms of like some of the companies that you would speak to and the workers you would speak to, how high up is on the priority list is cybersecurity now? I mean, I presume it depends on the size of the company, but a lot of this we will still almost look at it as relatively new technology, but it is the vital mission critical, as Kevin referred to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the main thing I would say is that no matter what size of the business that I'm working with, incidents like this, they're not always high profile, and it can be something quite small, even that does have an impact on your business. And the question I always would ask my client is, how do you create a cyber security culture in your business, no matter what the size is? And that's about making every person that's in your business, even if it's to do with third parties that are engaging with your business as well, to make them cyber secure aware of the impact potentially it has on your business. So everyone is a cyber security specialist for your business. So it comes down to things like looking at onboarding, looking at refresher 6 monthly maybe training around cyber security awareness, making staff fully aware of how to spot suspicious emails or phishing attacks or scams, and to make everyone part of that conversation in your organisation. And I think that's the main thing. I mean, for example, I could be dealing with a micro business, and if their Facebook page goes down, for example, and it's purely their route to market, for the service or the products that they provide, a Facebook page going down could be potentially of huge detriment to that business. It doesn't have to be the big Marks and Spencers or the Jaguars that obviously make the news, and it is a massive attack. Small businesses potentially who are maybe not fully aware, are not putting backup plans in place for a cybersecurity attack are also under threat.
Fevsy, that's a great point, actually, because it isn't those necessarily those huge companies. And that's a great example because so many people will use their social media accounts to effectively run their business. The entire advertising and marketing strategy comes via that social media account. And we know plenty of people who get hacked and locked out of their various accounts.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. It's just,
sorry, go ahead, Fevsy. I'll come back to you in a moment, Lindsay.
Sorry. I was just going to say, that the one business in particular that I had was dealing with, and they came to me specifically because of their Facebook page being down and losing advertising for a very specific sector that they were involved in, and the loss of that page, they did actually lose an awful lot of opportunities throughout the most buoyant months that they should have been advertising, and it was a huge loss. Hard-earned
followers. Fevsy, on that point, it shows how deep the IT talons are in the business world, where if you want to set out a business, good luck doing it without it.
Yeah, and there's all of these critical pain points where if any of those fail, then you lose your whole supply chain, and it's very, very difficult. Anything from Facebook to YouTube, that businesses have used these third-party platforms, and we've privatized these platforms. So if WhatsApp were to go down, for example, you might find that your way of picking up customers has completely disappeared. So I think in terms of when people are planning for what could go wrong, I think one of the things that flows out of that is maybe a consideration of maybe making your business less vulnerable, more robust, and less dependent upon single points of failure.
Yeah, our colleagues at 5 Live this morning were speaking to Paul Abbott. So he had a Northamptonshire transport firm, K&P. I think he was like 158 years old or something, and it had to close after hackers encrypted its operational systems and then demanded money. Now, he was saying they were throwing £120,000 a year at cybersecurity with insurance and systems and third-party managed systems. And Fevsy, that maybe sort of shows just how, I don't want to say because they are breaking the law, but it shows how competent the hackers actually are.
Yeah, I mean, we can honestly learn a lot. If you wanted to say, let's find a model business that has used AI to increase its productivity and income, it is hackers. There's a very great profit. They're highly motivated individuals, and there's a lot of profit to be made. Equally, though, we can use those AI tools to defend ourselves, and it's probably worth saying that the government slash GCHQ have made available training, and for companies who actually go through that training, they can benefit from cybersecurity insurance as well. So there is also a case of sort of upskilling for businesses. It's very hard. You have to not only run your business and make money, but you have to find a way of being able to continue to run your business and make money.
We need a situation like that film Catch Me If You Can, where they basically have him now, that great con artist now, advising them. Sorry, Lindsay, you wanted to say something there.
I was going to just say, I think it really does come down, no matter what the size of your business is, about that culture of being cybersecurity aware, and some of the things that you can put in place, which doesn't cost a lot of money, is just involving your staff in discussions around maybe a mock data breach, around what a potential phishing attack might look like, about maybe specific Northern Ireland based examples, whether they're small, medium or large businesses, and having that as a regular agenda item on team meetings, just to have that discussion live and all staff being fully aware and part of the solution. It's also about having robust policies and procedures in place around data protection, around information security, making sure that staff have really good, strong credentials in place around passwords. There's some things that we can put in place that don't cost an awful lot, but ensuring that staff are part of the solution to make sure that everyone in the business is cyber aware. And that comes down to a really good, strong culture of cybersecurity.
Kevin, this the pen and paper aspect of this is kind of the bit that's got the headlines. As I was pointing out, this is not new. It's just being put more to the forefront than it would have been. And I suppose it's not massively practical, maybe in all senses, to be able to put things on pen and paper. Say if you do have certain plans in place, it's not written down and locked up in a safe like Colonel Sanders' secret recipe or something like that. It's got to have a purpose. So that might not always be workable.
No, but it is best practice. to definitely consider what happens if you're locked out of your systems as well, and who would to contact and all these things again. So it doesn't take long to do that, and it could save a lot of time and a lot of heartache and maybe the business in the future. And just as was touched on there earlier, cyber insurance is now a must. For companies, really, and it would cover any direct costs like ransom payments or even business lost revenue during the downtime from attacks. Again, and these cyber insurance companies as well, you do have to have gone through a checklist beforehand, so it does force your hand to just be more compliant about security and have best practices. But once you're in there, again, you have a lot of protection, of course, the financial part, but also access to experts as well, and they will even help you. And in the past, they've negotiated ransomware payments as well. So really, cyber insurance is a must for businesses now, and years ago we never would have thought that there would be such a thing. But again, it's just, again, the nature of, because modern systems are so complex, and we have all sorts of devices. Again, we have plugging in, we have sensors, again, we have tablets, we have phones, we have our laptops, we have cloud systems we're logging into, we're doing it from remote, whatever else. And the attackers only have to get one vulnerability. And there's so many tools out there making it easier for them now that they're freely available online, so they don't have to be really experts. They just have to be able to find code and exploit it, again, usually from outside our jurisdiction as well. So again, it's very hard to protect every single point of our modern systems, again, so we have to prepare for the worst.
030 30 80 55 55 is the call. We'd love to get your thoughts on that. 81771 is the text. Fevsy, does anyone ever get caught for this? I mean, do people get done for it?
Yeah, there was a group of teenage hackers in the UK got caught not very long ago. It's more difficult when the attacks emanate from Russia and China, because obviously they're often acting as proxies for the state when that happens, and there's obviously not going to be any cooperation or extradition of those people. So I'm not saying it's a safe pastime, but it is a highly profitable one, and most people who do it don't get caught.
So what is driving that increase? Was it 50% increase in such incidents, and this particularly that this is the second highest category one? That's highly significant incidents. I mean, is it that more people are trying to hack the systems, or is it more companies are reliant on these systems, therefore open to hacking?
Well, what was interesting about the data that was released was that the overall number of attacks in the first 9 months of this year compared to last year was not greater, according to their data, but the severity of those attacks was much higher. So there's 6 categories of severity, and the top 3 categories taken together had more than doubled from, I think it was 89 to 204 attacks. And I do think that first of all, it's highly profitable. If we're talking about ransomware, that grows from year to year anyway. But these new tools, and especially these AI-based systems, allow people of modest capability to go after big game. They can go after much bigger organizations and demand much larger sums of money. And I think to an extent that's what we've seen, plus a degree of, obviously, we're seeing elements of hybrid warfare. It's a very good way of attacking another country because it provides the attacker with deniability.
Lindsay, I suppose a lot of this maybe does, again, depend on the size of your company, but to use your Facebook example, many people who might sort of set out and look thinking, I want to do a bit of a sort of business at home and try and build that business, do what I'm doing, get some hard-earned followers and start getting some traffic. Something like cybersecurity might be so far from their mind because we don't all live in that world, that fintechs or even that City of London mentality where this is just maybe second nature for a lot of them. You have to have it. A lot of them might not know this is maybe important stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you think about small, medium enterprises as the lifeblood, really, of the Northern Ireland economy, and, like some of those small businesses, whilst, that a Facebook page going down doesn't seem that much, maybe to a larger organisation, the loss that potentially would have, that particular example, actually, it was actually mind-blowing in that, trying to actually get the page back up again, it took a period of nearly 6 months. And during that 6-month period, they had hackers actually trying to contact them to say, I'll rehack the page to get the page back. It was just absolutely mind-blowing to think, just a small enterprise, and that one page was essential to them, that it actually took them offline for quite a bit and lost them quite a lot of revenue. I think, the main thing, if you listen to sort of, what's being said in the past sort of like 20 minutes or so, it obviously can sound very, very alarming, but it's to reassure people as well that there are bodies out there that can advise and help, like the National Cybersecurity Centre, the Northern Ireland Cybersecurity Centre, Invest NI, Enterprise NI. There's lots of bodies there that will help small, medium enterprises to get a grip of what cybersecurity could mean for them, to allow them to maybe to develop an incident response plan, to have discussions around backup controls and, how to ensure critical data is available. But for me personally, that human error and, thinking about, that it's not always the systems. It could be, mishandling of information or a data leak or something that happens just in the day-to-day running of your business. And it's about making sure that staff are really aware of what potentially could cause an incident that would mean the downtime of business.
Kevin, I'm reading some quotes from Graham Stewart, who's head of a cybersecurity firm, Checkpoint, and he makes a very, very simple point here, and basically says, look, you wouldn't walk onto a building site without a helmet, yet companies still go online without basic protection. And that's kind of the mindset now, isn't it, that you need to instill out there?
It is, yeah. Checkpoint are a giant in the cyber world again, that they scan our emails even at Ulster.
Oh yeah, we've all seen that, the little tick, isn't it? Yeah, that's those guys.
Exactly. Again, we just got to wake up to see how important our IT systems are. And again, we haven't seen some of the crippling attacks that may happen in the future. For instance, that there are bottlenecks within the internet, such as some of the payment services that we use, Square, for instance, that businesses all use again. So if that system ever goes down, like a large chunk of the internet will go offline really for payments and everything else. So we've seen the CrowdStrike software hack that was there last year again, that brought down, that caused chaos actually in many systems again. Hundreds of thousands of Windows systems were brought to their knees again, and IT admin had to go around and scramble to install the update or to update the system again. So look, we're facing a future that we've never been in before. No one foreseen that the internet would become the hub of communications, the hub of our entertainment, the hub of finance. It was never developed with security in mind. When I first used the internet, we logged on, there was no passwords on computers. Email was insecure. We've added layer upon
very loud
layer.
modem, making a dialing out tone, that sort of thing. Yeah.
We've added layer upon layer, but it was never built with security, and it's always a cat and mouse game between the hackers and businesses.
Well, in the 20 seconds I have left with you, Fevsy, what's the first thing you do if you're hacked down? Don't panic, I suppose. Or
Go
maybe
get
you should
the
panic.
Go get the backup that you very wisely took beforehand and reinstate it. But it is not so much of what you do first. It's planning before it happens is the most important thing. Then you'll know what to do for your business, and you'll be prepared and won't have to pay the ransomware. You'll be able to smile as you reinstate your data.
Well, there we go. And that's on that smiley note, we'll leave it there. Fevsy Turkop, thank you so much. Thanks to Kevin Curran, and thanks as well, of course, to Lindsay Conway. That's it from Tuesday's Talkback. Talk to you all later.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome. How you doing? From Talkback to the boy never stops talking. You're welcome. Take it away.